Army chick clashes with Andrew over women in the military. Uh-oh.
With 3 military veterans at the table tonight, can I ask everyone's opinion on equalizing the military draft to include registering 18-plus-year-old women? Also, for the Alex fans, Andrew, please don't obfuscate. Love you, Crucible Commander-in-Chief. Vets, what do you think?
Yes, women should be
agree.
drafted. And if you don't know this already, other countries are already requiring 2 years. Italy is an example of that.
Finland is like that.
Yeah.
Israel is like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
women should be in the military draft if there's one.
Okay. Anybody else?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
At the very least, they should be held to the same standards of selective
I
service.
totally
Yes.
disagree.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think?
I don't think that women should vote or should be drafted. So I would remove the responsibility arc from women when it comes to voting and when it comes to being drafted. I think that the military is far better with women in support roles. I think that law enforcement is far better with women in support roles and not in primary roles. So no, I completely disagree. I would eliminate the draft for women, but I'd also eliminate some other things like voting and some other things like that.
I got to tell you just one critical position that a woman played in Afghanistan in the middle of a war zone in a way that a man could never. And that is during the day in many villages in Afghanistan, the men go away to work, which leaves behind villages full of women and kids by themselves. Okay.
Just
and
like
what
with
happens is you need a woman to go into those spaces in the middle of a war zone to go have conversations with those women
Yeah.
for intel purposes. General McChrystal, winning hearts and minds, you name it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but that's a support role, and that makes sense. But I guarantee you, even when those women are going into those dangerous areas to talk to other women that the men are not allowed to talk to, they're still protected by big men with big guns. I guarantee it. They're not just walking in there all willy-nilly. They're still protected. So, yeah, that's a support role. That actually makes sense.
There's religious reasons that men cannot speak to those women. You need women that can be on the front lines. You need women to do those jobs.
So that's still a support role.
It is not.
It is.
My friend,
That
it
is
is
a
not.
support
I was
role.
part of an
That is a
8-woman
support
female
role.
engagement team. I promise you, nothing about my job was a support role.
So let me ask you a question, like an honest question. Are the standards in the United States Army for women and their physical readiness and fitness less than that of men in combat roles?
Okay, so
Yes.
believe me, I've been debating this since I was 17 years old. I'm happy to talk to you about this. Yes, to answer your
All right,
question.
is there
Hold
a
on. Wait.
I just want to finish this one point.
Okay.
Is there a single female Navy SEAL?
Yeah, there is actually.
is.
Yeah.
I thought there was one female ranger. Is
Yeah.
there a female
there's
SEAL?
multiple female rangers as
I don't-
well.
I wasn't
aware that there was a female
Kristen
SEAL.
Greist is one of them.
Let me
She's
let
a
me look
female?
this up. Let me look up the Navy SEALs. No, there are no female Navy SEALs. However, women can now apply for these positions, and one woman has completed SEAL Officer Assessment and Selection Program, but was assigned to explosive ordnance disposal instead of becoming a SEAL. The Navy opened combat roles, including the SEALs team, to women in 2016, but no woman has successfully completed the basic underwater demolition SEALs BUDS training program to become a Navy SEAL. So there was one woman that got done with some of the testing, but she never became a Navy SEAL because she still failed the underwater training. So while there are no women that have completed the training, about 250 men graduate every single year. So that just goes to show you the overwhelming difference in capability to do that type of stuff. I mean, shout out to the woman that completed the training that she did, but the point still stands that overwhelmingly men are significantly more capable in combat roles.
Well, Navy SEAL?
I wasn't worried about a SEAL, but I know about a ranger.
Oh, no. Sorry, I cannot name any off the top of my head, but that is not because there's not. There definitely is.
I don't think there's a single female Navy SEAL that's actually gone through basic underwater demolition school and passed it.
Someone Google
Okay,
it.
well, hold on a second, because now we're getting into
He's
women
right.
even being allowed to even try. Okay,
They're
because
allowed to try.
Okay, but I know the dates and timelines on this shit. So 2016 was the first year women were even allowed to even attempt to go into those roles. And I was actually one of those first women that even went to go through the schools for it. When I went through OCS, I was going through OCS with the intent to become one of the first female infantry officers. Okay, it took me asking 8 years in a row to even go to air assault school. Okay, and I got denied. I was multiple things in the military, but I was in for 16 years. But what's really, really important is I asked for 8 years to go, and I met not just meet the physical requirements. The physical requirements are on a scale of 1 0 to 300. I not only maxed it at 300 on the women's scale, which I'll give you that, but I went over that and I met what the 18-year-old males were doing. I was running 2 miles in 12 minutes, which is 6-minute miles.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. 2 6-minute miles back to back to make a 12-minute 2 mile is actually super fast. I used to run Division I track and field, and that's actually fast. But the only issue is, can you do that with an M4 in your hands? An M4 weighs about 7 pounds. Can you do that with the 7-pound M4 on your hand, in your hands, and with the 35-pound rucksack on your back? And that's the lighter weight ones. We're talking about these things could get up to 70 pounds. And if you're a 110-pound woman, I'm assuming that's around her weight, you're going to have a much harder time doing that. So sure, you can run that time when you don't have to carry any weight, but I want to see that executed with this 35-pound rucksack on your back. It's going to be much harder.
Pretty fucking fast, okay? And I did that as a very, very capable, qualified female. I still wasn't allowed to go to air assault school. Here's the reason why. You're a girl. You'll never make it through. For 8 years, I got told that. And finally, on the 8th year, I made it through. So I just want to tell you, I fully agree with women being held to the same standard as male. But yes, we do have physical differences. That does not mean in today's age that we can't fight the same way.
Let me ask you a logical question. Logical question.
Can't fight the same what?
The United States military was separated by men and women, and there was a internal conflict, an internal war where half of the army went against the other half. They had the same resources, same everything. One half was women, one half was men. Which one would win overwhelmingly?
So, sorry, can you say that question one more time?
Yeah. Let's assume we split the army in half, gave them exactly the same resources, exactly the same manpower, exactly the same tanks, jets, air support, everything.
The men would probably
Men on one side, women on the other. Who wins?
I don't know, because there's been some amazing.
know.
Come on.
The men would
Amy,
probably
Lieutenant, you do know.
And that's
no,
when,
no,
that's when the
I'm sorry,
cognitive
I disagree.
dissonance comes
I'm
in,
sorry, I
and
disagree.
just-
Let me give you
There's some incredible women
agreed,
leading
but
strategic
Yeah,
battles.
this comes from Hollywood and women for too long watching too many movies of 110-pound women in latex suits with high heels beating up 220-pound bodyguards. And this is a real phenomenon, by the way. If you take in too much fictional content, it can warp your reality. This is seen in people who read fictional books, and we actually use this to our advantage, especially as parents sometimes. Like the reason why we read stories that have morality in them, but it's like animals, even though they're fictional stories, we still read them to our kids, is because we understand that our kids will take the moral principles that come from the movie or the story, even though it's a fictional story. So, but yeah, this is a real thing in science that's been studied, and if you take in or ingest too much fiction, it can warp your reality, and you can start thinking that reality is fiction. While reading does not literally warp reality, it has a significant and well-documented psychological effect on how people perceive, understand, and engage with the real world. This process involves both conscious immersion and unconscious influence on the brain, altering perspective and influencing behavior. Cognitive simulation. When you read a fictional story, your brain treats the experience similarly to a real-life event, engaging in a form of cognitive simulation. So yeah, women are being indoctrinated through Hollywood fictional stories and anecdotal evidence to the point where they're starting to believe that anecdotal evidence is real life. That's the only way you can explain a grown-ass adult trying to make it seem like men and women are equal on the battlefield. That's the only way you can explain that type of mentality.
Today.
I agreed, but there's
Today.
but
The
there's
chief of staff.
right. But my point is,
And it goes down.
there aren't enough.
Chief of
There
staff.
aren't,
Keep going down the ranks.
right, but
keep going
there
down the
aren't.
ranks.
By comparatively, there aren't enough of like there
Hand-to-hand
aren't-
combat, men would win.
Okay, right, but there aren't enough like female tank commanders that went to NTS and
We
fucking.
didn't get the opportunity to
Okay,
even
so
go.
but that's okay, right? But that's the point is there aren't enough women to where you.
No,
you'd be able
no,
to
no.
pull
The
it.
point isn't that there aren't enough women. The point is that even if there were 10 women, take all of the women that do the job and say that there were only 200 of them, then take 200 random men that also do the job, the men are going to wipe the floor with them every time. And why are we trying to act like we don't know this as grown-ass adults? It's weird.
time. Yeah.
Well, let's just take it to the next level. Let's assume there was, and it was totally equalized. The force was equalized as far as you had all the same resources, the exact number of women to men, the exact same amount of technology. You still think women would even have a chance?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
they have a chance.
Well,
Yeah, so let
that's
me-
when the cognitive
Absolutely.
dissonance gets to
Yeah,
the
let me
point
give a
where I just
I mean,
disconnect.
we went to the moon because of a woman.
No, we did not
What?
go to the moon because of a woman.
There
Did
was
math. That's
women-
ridiculous.
No.
It's the most
no,
ridiculous
It's not
shit.
ridiculous
Where
at
did-
all.
Okay,
It's
so
not ridiculous
this
at all.
is kind of my wheelhouse.
And I guarantee you she got that from a movie. I guarantee you she got that opinion from a movie, and that literally just proves exactly what I was just pointing out about fictional stories. Or not even necessarily completely fictional, but even exaggerated narratives. Same type of mentality, same thing happens.
What specifically do you want?
The
chick did
whole
the math.
bunch of mathematicians that were behind that.
So there was an office of astrodynamics,
Yeah,
if
and
you
this
will.
is where you're losing me. Andrew. You don't need to make fun. You can educate me. You don't need to make
there
fun.
There were 600,000 people that worked on Gemini.
Of course.
and 98% of them were men.
But again,
Yes.
because
Right.
men would not let women go
Correct.
into the positions that they
Correct.
rightfully
But we
deserve to go
we didn't
into.
land on the moon because of
No.
specifically because of a woman. Now there were some like calculations that had to be redone, especially like during Apollo 13. And yes, in that office of the women were literally called calculators. That's what
Yeah.
the name of them were. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I'm not trying to disparage them because obviously I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it's interesting because before we had calculators, the job title used to literally be a calculator. It would be a person that would sit there and just chop out all the numbers in mathematics. Then somebody came up with the invention of the calculator and changed everything. But yeah, calculator used to literally be a job title.
Of anybody who did that in the moon landing, but the reality situation is it wasn't the majority. It wasn't
Well, I
even
didn't
1%.
say that. I
okay.
didn't, and I probably overgeneralized
Yeah.
when I said that. But I'm just saying, like, and by the way, I was the first person on this show to say that I definitely agree that we need men and men are amazing and all of these other things. Like, so I just want to clarify, I'm not like pulling some like
But you was also
feminism
the first
movement.
person that said that disagreed when I said that women need guidance, and this further proves my point, right? Because women tend to prioritize. You got your prioritizations messed up. You tend to prioritize what's good instead of what's best, right? So this conversation that we're having, you're saying that, well, women can do this. Well, women can do this. They can be good. You said that, well, yeah, you lifted or did something and you met a standard that an 18-year-old met, right? An 18-year-old boy. Well, okay,
When
good.
I was a 17-year-old
okay, great,
girl,
but that's
yeah.
good. But that's not what's best to do. So,
Yeah, I actually agree with him there. It's more about efficiency when you're talking about national security and when you're talking about public safety. That's why I'm really not for female police officers, because I think that there's 9 out of 10 times a man that can do the job better. And I don't think you should put people's public safety at risk just because you want to try to prove a point that women can do these jobs. I think you should get the best man for the job, especially in a life or death situation. If I have to get open heart surgery, I don't want a person to be trying to prove that they can do the job. I want the person that's the best for the job. If I'm burning alive in a fire, I don't want somebody busting through the door that's trying to prove that they can do the job. I want the person that's the most capable and the most efficient at doing the job. There are literal roller coasters that are allowed to have stricter requirements than what we have for our public safety, and I don't think that that's a good thing.
at the job. Not only that, let me ask you all the questions. Show of hands real quick, right? So, are y'all pro-women? Who's pro-women?
Absolutely.
Anyone pro-women?
I love
Pro-women?
women. Women
I'm
are
pro.
great.
Okay. Women are great.
Pro-women.
Yeah,
And we
but
would
not
all agree, the
feminists.
males would agree with this. So, but it's kind of funny how can you be pro-woman, but you would want a woman to go into a war zone and risk everything? Risk everything. That doesn't even make sense.
You're
That's
pro-woman,
very
she has the right to
nonsensical.
do it. You're saying pro-woman, you're advocating for her, to supporting her in whatever decision she makes. That's how we're
And now
pro-woman.
you're bringing up
Yeah,
rights.
Yeah, now
and
you're
that's-
bringing up rights, and that's an entirely
saying
different conversation with
supporting
men
her.
grant
A
rights.
decision. I'm saying strictly a
That's right.
decision. You're supporting a decision. That's being
But you're supporting a decision that could lead to her death. That's not a good thing. How is that just because you're supporting it making it a good thing? If your husband wants to do crack and you tell him no, you shouldn't do crack, you're not supporting him, but I still think you're doing a good thing by telling him he shouldn't risk his life by doing crack.
pro-woman.
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
talking
no.
about legalities.
Yeah,
I'm talking about pro-woman.
Okay, so pro-woman
Just because you
so they can
support
go
something
into
doesn't mean you're
to
pro
a war
it.
zone and get their head
you're-
blown off. That's
If
very
that's what they
nonsensical.
choose
I mean,
to
I
do.
literally
So you
did
would
that.
want women to choose something that would
I didn't
kill
say I want
them?
them to. I said you are support. You asked who supports women.
No, no, but this is what
That
I'm
is the
saying. You
support.
have to be able to differentiate things. You're saying that you are pro-woman, but then you want women to enlist into the military. It makes no sense. How can you be pro-woman?
No,
you
I
want to
disagree.
protect women.
I disagree with you there, my friend, because like I absolutely think women should serve a minimum of 2 years, like many other countries do. There's so many incredible essential roles that could be that they could fulfill.
Nobody's against that. We wouldn't have a problem with women being in support roles and having a duty to do 2 years in the military. That's not the issue. We're talking about support roles versus combat roles, and women shouldn't be in combat roles because not only does it compromise compromise the woman because she's significantly less capable, but it also compromises the whole team because now you have to compensate for somebody who's less capable.
Those
those
countries' fighting
clashes.
forces are underwhelming in comparison to our volunteer force. And our volunteer force is mostly of 18 to 23-year-old males. And they are extremely skilled at their jobs.
And so are the women.
They're also very physically fit. This is the big
So
thing.
are the women.
If you have tanks and tanks are in a big fight with each other,
I have to
right?
disagree with you on the mostly of physically
So
fit.
are the
I
women.
completely disagree with you. Our
They're far
force
more
is getting,
physically fit
fit
than
than
that.
water
They're
and
far
fat.
more physically fit than the females who are in the military. Yes.
There are a lot of
Across the
shitbag
board.
Wait a second. We weren't talking about genders just a
There are a
second
lot
ago.
of-
No, I was actually bringing this back to say, let's just say you had tanks, just, I don't know, 2,000 tanks on both sides, an all-female versus all-male army.
Who's to
Just,
say my tank can't blow your tank?
yeah,
right
okay,
out?
hang on, let me finish.
Yeah.
Blow your tank
I
up.
agree with
Okay,
you.
I get it.
Then
You
you're
blow the
gone.
tank up.
But
Who's
a
going to
man
lift
built
up
the
the
tank.
big,
He hasn't been in the
heavy-ass
military, right?
shell?
Yeah, a
I
man
actually
built the
think
tank.
that all the women
Who's going to
here
lift the
could-
big, heavy-ass
Me,
shell?
it's not me.
Can you look
Heavy.
something
And
up?
you're going to
What's
take
that?
so,
So,
lift
real
the big,
quick.
heavy-ass shell.
I
Can you look something
Have you
Wait,
had
hold on,
it?
time out. Stop. Amy,
It's even
the issue is while I understand your argument, you're making the argument from like you're basically Shaquille O'Neal telling us to all be tall. Like
Right.
you're so far outside the norm. Congratulations. I'm not saying that's bad, but you
Yeah,
understand
the
most
exception
women
Not really,
are
because all
most women are
women
not
have
going to be
a
able to do
standardized
what it is
test
that you're
to
able to
pass in
do.
order to be in the
Going back to
military.
what you said before, there's been thousands of SEAL candidates. There have been 18 women to go through SEAL training, and one in 2001 made it through. And because of that, her identity is classified.
Okay, one.
One. Now, I guarantee you, if I met her,
There's
I'd be able to
more
tell which one it
going on.
was.
Yeah, but that's not the underwater training. That's the difference. So he's talking about the woman that I just mentioned that completed the SEALs training, but she never completed the underwater training that's necessary to become a full Navy SEAL.
Guarantee you if I saw her. But you went through fucking. I guarantee you if I met her, I'd be like, "You're the one. You're the fucking SEAL."
But
Yeah.
my point is like even just doing the grind maintenance requirements for like let's put this tread back on while we're in the field. Let's carry these really heavy shells up this hill by the 100. All of those are also physical requirements of soldiers. And while you may be an exception to the rule, generally speaking, men are going to be far better suited for that role.
I guarantee
which means
I
that
can
they
lift
would,
more than you can.
which means that ultimately, even if you could, what the fuck would that have to do with anything?
because you're making a general statement that a
Because
man
we're
can
talking
do it,
about a general statement.
But I know, but you're saying just because of a man, you suck, literally,
Okay.
like from head to toe.
Great argument.
Like I guarantee you, I can lift more than you.
Is it?
Probably.
I got another super chat here. I want to know if this is true. Rusty Fuel says
You got me.
Israel tried using women in combat, but they stopped because they took too many casualties.
They were killing it. They were killing it. I was following that story for a while.
Don't sound like they was killing it if they was taking casualties. It sounds like they was getting killed. I think that's the opposite.
They were really doing an amazing job.
Can we,
In Israel?
Can we talk about a statistic real quick?
Yeah.
So we're talking about like having the same
I think
resources,
it was
men
Ukraine.
versus women, right?
Ukraine.
So like we have tanks on this side and then men have tanks on this side. So the average ASVAB score for a man is 47. The average ASVAB score for a woman is 50.
It's
So
true,
we are
yeah.
technically
I
smarter.
was a recruiter.
So
It's not
delusional.
that.
Can
Hold
be
on,
more
hold on.
strategic.
Time out. What you're doing is you're selecting for a select few group of women who, do you understand, most women don't have the audacity to join the military in the fucking first place.
Yeah,
it's about
that's
8% of women.
Oh, you're talking about drafting women.
but so,
Talking
so,
about the end of the curve,
So
too.
this is the result. The result is smarter, more assertive women will then want to join the military, and that's why you're going to get that. Of course, like the thing is also the standards as far as ASVAB scores. If you want to be an 11 Bravo, no offense, guys, I love you
Yeah,
guys.
lowest
I love
score,
you guys.
lowest score.
But 11 Bravos, you don't have to have a fucking high score because
Yeah.
you carry a rucksack and a fucking M4. That's the
Yeah.
reason why.
Yeah,
So
and
that
just to elaborate on my point before that I made, right? I said that are you pro women? And the guys, of course, raise their hands as we should because we are pro women. But some women raise their hands that they are pro women, but then also had disagreements with the super chat. So think about it. I would say that men are more pro women than when men are more pro women than women are because we are looking to protect you. You argued and said choice, right? So now you're looking at we got to differentiate the two. So choice, you said, well, we want women to have choice. Well, I'm saying that men, we protect women, right? So let me ask you a question. Do you have a kid?
No.
You don't have a kid. Let's say if you did have a kid, right? You birthed this kid for you.
Oh,
had
here
this
it
kid in your
goes.
belly for
You're
9
comparing
months.
us to
You took
kids.
this kid through, elementary school, and now they're in middle school. Throughout those years that you've raised that child, right? What would you be prioritizing? Their choice or protecting them from their bad choices?
when they are of an age where they can't make a decision for themselves and they can't fend for themselves, I think it's pretty obvious that you're making their choices for them.
No.
I feel
That's
like
not my
you're
question. Let me rephrase
relating
this. That's not
women
my
to being
question.
children.
I'm
Right,
saying
exactly.
no. Well, it's really, it's
And we're
really
definitely
a
not.
relatable
He's
topic.
not relating women to children. He's relating the responsibility of having to protect something. And so basically he's saying because men are tasked with the duty to protect women, because she brought up the point that, you know, it's if you can fend for yourself. Well, the whole point of this conversation is saying that women can't indeed fend for themselves. They need men to fight wars on their behalf. And because men have the willingness to fight wars on the female behalf for for the benefit of society, but for women and children also, that shows that men are pro-women.
Women tend to be similar to is what I'm pretty
David,
much what
you
I'm
do
saying
a
in certain,
really good
certain
job
aspects.
of invoking emotion and
No,
stir it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No,
and you
no,
it's
no.
the
You shouldn't
condescending
be-
tone that
you
you swear
shouldn't-
you don't have.
He's really good at
Oh,
doing
that you
y'all
have-
back to the beginning podcast.
No,
is because
while
y'all
you're
wrong.
while you're
Yeah,
calling
How's
us
it wrong? You're
children.
asking me an opinion.
Yeah, this was a great
Hold on.
exchange.
If you ask
Exactly
an
what he wanted
opinion,
from
you
you.
cannot tell me I'm wrong. Period.
No.
If you ask me a question, I give you my
proved
opinion.
My
You
point.
can't say no.
So listen, you're actually
Okay.
proving my point here, right? So what I'm saying is that men are more pro women than women are
And he's
because
gonna talk
if
to you in a
want
nice and slow
Right.
voice so that you sound like a crazy bitch.
Right.
Okay,
Now
that's
I'm
great.
the
He sounds
overly
like a
emotional.
rational male.
Yeah, great. So
Yeah.
yeah. Let me
Wait,
finish
so-
my sentence
so-
here,
Yeah.
right? So what I'm saying is that men are more pro women
I'm gonna
than
let you
women
finish,
are.
but
just
I'm gonna let you
because-
finish, but
yeah, great. But and the facts is that what I'm stating here is because you said that we are pro woman because we want women for choice. We want women to have choice. I'm saying that's nonsensical because if you had a child, you wouldn't be wanting your kids. You would be like, wait, don't touch that stove. That's hot. What is that? What is that?
At the end of the day, you're talking about two separate things. I'm
No, that's
talking
not
about
two separate
adults that
things.
can make their own decisions.
And I
we
just
are
gotta
not
tell you-
talking about animals or children
Yeah.
or things that need to be protected because they don't know better.
You're assuming
Two
all men
different
want to
things.
So,
protect,
no,
and that is
it's-
not why a lot of men join the
it's an
military. I can
example.
promise you that. A
It's
lot
a
of men
bad
join the
example.
No, it's
military.
not a bad
It's a
example.
bad example. Hold on.
It's a very
It's a
fair
bad
example.
example that leads nothing but for us to say something that makes us look dumb.
No, wrong.
It is a push of a narrative that you want for us to agree with you, even though what we're saying has nothing to do with what you're saying.
And this
You're
is coming
incorrect.
from
You-
a guy who thinks he's going to choose his daughter's husband.
Okay.
So.
Right, because she has to be in love with him, and it's
you're-
gonna
you're
last
listening-
forever.
Base.
You're not listening to
Base.
understand.
Daughter's
I'm
Base.
you having this conversation. You said that. Well, guess what? Well, I want women to have choice, and choice
I
is
didn't
more.
say any of that. You
That is
asked,
what you said.
No.
Can we
you
rewind
asked.
it? Can we?
You asked, show of hands of people pro women. I agreed. I am pro
And
woman.
then guess what I said?
And
I said, so then
the
why
choice.
would you want women to go to war? You said because of choice. I said that, well, men are more pro women is because we want to protect women.
Not
right?
all men. Not all men.
This
A
is
lot of
what
men
we're
that
arguing
a lot
for.
of
Now,
men
Can-
join
can-
the
can-
military.
Can
for
I
other
use a
reasons.
different example that's like David's? The situation with Lindsey Hill and Trevor Bauer, or the situation with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. In those situations, I was fucking livid when I saw that this woman, because I work with domestic abuse charities, when these women went there and said that their men hit them when they didn't. But why am I the one who's angry about this? Who should be angry about this are women. Women should be so much more angry about the Amber Heard situation than men should be, because they sat there and say, well, believe all women. Well, how can we believe all women now? She shit on his bed. You can't, let's just be real. You know, like that's how crazy it is. When women, like the thing with Lindsey Hill, complete, total made up, and Trevor Bauer lost 300 MLB games because this woman lied about him. And that the whole thing is what he's saying to what he's saying before. Who should really be mad about this? Whose cause has been set back by women lying? Is it my cause? No, it's women's cause. And that's the point. Women should be more upset about this
So
than
there's
men are.
that
This just comes from a difference of perspective. Women think that for you to love them or for you to show your care for them, you have to support them even if they're making a self-sabotaging decision. Men tend to believe that if you love something, you'll try to protect it. And I think women generally agree with that too, especially once they're tasked with the duty of actually having something to protect.
The argument or the discussion at hand was, should we be pro women? And all I said was for a woman to have the choice.
Right. So
Yeah.
now I'm comparing choice to protection, right? So choice is free will. Oh, well, we all got free will that God granted us with. Pretty much, can do whatever we want, right? So as part as a man, the reason why I compared it to a parent, because a parent needs to protect their kid. The reason why so a man needs to protect a woman, right? Needs to protect women. So what I'm saying is that men are more pro women than women are, is because we literally have a natural proclivity to protect you, which you're just prioritizing choice. I'm prioritizing protection.
Who is a better friend and who loves their friend more? The friend that says, bro, you're getting a little bit overweight, maybe you should reel it in, or the friend that just says, yeah, bro, you look good at whatever size you are? Which one is displaying actual love? Which one is more loving in that situation? The friend that lets their other friend self-sabotage, or the friend that tells them that they have an issue that they need to solve? I would argue that the friend who's trying to protect their friend from making a bad decision loves their friend more than the friend that's just supporting bad decisions.
So I am more pro woman than you are.
I think you're maybe part of like a group of men that have that mindset, but I promise you, I was a recruiter for the military for 6 years. That is not the reason.
Well, she just lost all credibility. That's the support role. You was a recruiter for 6 years? You just lost all credibility for anybody in the military. That ain't something you should have said.
A lot of men join the military. Some men join the military because the judge says, hey, you did a really bad thing. You got a choice. You can go to jail or you can get in the military. Some men join the military because their dads beat the shit out of them and they just want to go prove that they're tougher than their fathers. So it's nothing to do.
We're not
Or
talking
some
about the
join to serve
joining.
their
We're
country.
not speaking about the joining. We're
But
arguing.
you were talking about that because you said, going back to the pro women thing, you're saying that men are more pro women than women are because you have this drive to protect, and that conversation stemmed directly from being in the military and serving in the military. That was
but
where
joining,
that was how we got
joining is
here.
what I'm saying is we're arguing against women even joining the military.
Regardless of the reason they sign up, is different than the results that that women benefit from when men sign up, and that is that they are largely protected from the war or from the horrors of the military. I wish that Andrew Wilson got to talk a little bit more in this one, but it's hard to rationalize with people who are clearly irrational. The moment you start to say that you believe that female soldiers could compete in any regard with male soldiers, you've completely lost me, and you've probably lost your grasp on reality. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or L, and give me the HBO special. That's out, brother. Out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.